All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is things you should know about Raisers Edge NXT. I am here to learn as well. This is not my expertise. Luckily for you all, though, we do have an expert on the call to walk us through it, though. I am somewhat of an expert on conference calls, though, and webinars. So this is my little required logistics housekeeping slide to say feel free to chat. A lot of you have already been saying hi and where you're from, so keep that up in the chat. Feel free to ask questions in there, but we also have specifically the Q&A section to drop in your any specific questions. I'll be monitoring that as we go through here, so feel free to ask any questions at all, but specifically around Razor's Edge, probably will specifically answer on this call today, and we're happy to address them. If we can't answer them today, we're happy to follow up with you as well. Again, Mark Becker, I'm the founding partner of Cathexis Partners. We've been doing this for about 14 years now, and helped thousands of nonprofits, any type of technical support, from website design to integrations to customizations of the online environment to the data side of things, which is kind of the focus of today's conversation, and really helping folks use the most out of their CRMs, their donor databases. And today we're specifically going to have one of our experts on to talk about Razor's Edge. So Aaron, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and kick things off?
Hi, my name is Erin Fleischman. I'm a strategic consultant with Cathexis Partners. I've been using Razor's Edge for longer than I care to admit. And we'll be reviewing the different portions of Razor's Edge. I'm going to start sharing my screen.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, it says you disabled participant screen sharing.
All right. Sorry about that. Of course, I would mess this up. Let me see if I can get this fixed. Give it a shot now.
Awesome.
Sorry, everybody.
All right. Can you now see my screen?
You are good to go.
Awesome. All right. So at this point for this webinar, I am assuming you all know how to log into both WebView and Database View. So I'm not going to go there for this. If you're not familiar, follow along and we'll get there. Today we're going to look at how to execute mail merges for receipt letters and pledge reminders, which is kind of a big deal now with the latest change from Blackbaud on not being able to do it from within the system anymore. We are going to cover how to use the email functionality in NXT. We're going to talk about Importacular, which is a fun little tool that can be very beneficial. How to enter gifts, pledges, and recurring gifts, including the differences between the database view and the web view. And then we're going to talk about some things that can only be done in database view. So that's kind of our focus today. So let's start with the mail merges. So we're actually not even going to, we're going to go over here. And basically, you would go through the same process that you would normally go into. You open your acknowledgement letters. But if you notice now, the merge button is no longer here. It's gone. And that's, fine. We don't need it. If whatever query you use is still there, all your criteria fields to include, are still here. So everything you've set up is still intact. You just hit export now instead of merge, and it's going to create a file for you. So let me pull up that file. When you go through the process and you click export, I'm not going to go through it because it does take a while, but when you go through that process, it will create a CSV file. And this CSV file will have all the information you need in it to create your mail merge. And so of course, it's going to be slow today. There we go. So here's a file. We're not going to actually need all of this, so I'm going to take some of these out just randomly. We definitely don't need all of them. And basically, we don't need all of hers either. Once you've got your file, because you won't have all these multiples because you won't have the same stuff that I've got in here where we just reuse data over and over and it's all good old junk data. That'll give us enough. We'll stop with that. We'll take those out. So as you can see, my headers show everything I've got that exported out. Addressee, the position, organization name, address lines. If you do address lines 1, 2, 3, 4, that's fine. Or if you just do address lines, I did it both ways. I did both of them in here so that you could see it either way. So I know some organizations will have address line 1, address line 2, address line 3, or address lines. Either way works. You just have to know which way your organization is going to do that. Other information, city, state, zip, country. Obviously, we haven't put countries in ours, but that may be handy if you're doing, acknowledgement letters to other countries. Your salutation, gift type, gift date, amount, and what that was to. And if you use letter codes, those letter codes would be here, and those would be for conditional mail merges. So if you have multiple different, types of letters for each, fund, or depending on amount or type of gift, etc., those would be conditional mail merges. I will not go into those here. If you need help with that, you can shoot me an email and I can give you a little more detailed information on the conditional ones. They're a little trickier. Okay, so we've got our acknowledgements. We've got that piece of it. So I'm going to close that out. Yes, we don't want to do that many. And yes, we want to save. So once you've got all that put together, you're going to go into Word. Make sure you've got all your headers, all the data you need, for your letters, so that you don't have to go back and forth and enter a bunch of things. Make sure percentages, currencies, postal codes, all that are properly formatted, that they're all done the way you need them. Make sure all your changes, if there's any changes, additions, subtractions you want to do to your data, do it before you start the mail merge process, because once your file is connected, the data is set, and even if you go into your spreadsheet and make changes, it will not change in the data. So please make sure that you deal with that. So from here, and I will tell you, from Word, you can use an Excel, you can use a CSV, and you can use text files. It will accept any of those. And it's really easy. Click on mailings. You can start mail merge. And you could say letters. The other option you have is the step-by-step wizard, which is really handy as well. It's great. It's your choice which way you want to go. With letters, I can do this. And let me grab another one. Okay, let me go back in.
And there was a question as you're going through this. Someone asked if you can use a template while you're doing this.
Absolutely. You're better off if you have templates. I completely. So this would be a template. It didn't come out well here, but oh, lovely. We're just having all kinds of fun. Well, we'll deal with this in a minute. So once you've got this, you create your spreadsheet, you go into the mail merge, you've kind of connected. It's why not being able to see my very top. Oh, that one I don't. Let's try this again. All right. I want to select my recipients. I'm going to use an existing list. And I'm going to go back into my documents and hopefully it will all be there this time. And this part I hate is this part. Why is it not finding you? There we go. So now see once it connected to my list, I've got edit recipient list, my address block, my greetings, my inserts. I've got all that I can now do. It changes everything for us. Your address, you can, if you choose to, I don't know how many of you do this, but you can do your add-in of your date so that it will automatically create and change your date with your template every time. I don't know how many of you are used to that or not. It's a great, I mean, I like it and I can't, why am I not getting over there? Here. So you can choose how you want your date to look. And then every time you use this template, it will adjust. For name, we want to tie this up. So we want it to really match what we want to do. So we're going to insert, go back. So frustrating. I apologize. This is, can't see my tops. Back into the mailings. And now I can do my insert the fields. So under name, I'm going to use addressee. And I'm going to insert that. Why is it giving me? And I'm going to say, it is not giving me. Okay, we're going to do this differently. We're going to add the addressee down here. And then I'm going to, we're going to say we're done. And it added twice. So we're going to go there. And I'm just going to delete this one. We're going to, fun times, we learn together, right? I'm going to use my address. I'm actually going to use my address lines. I like that one better. And then we're going to go in. And once you've gone through and set up your mail merge template, you will not have to do this over and over and over. It will recognize it every time you do it. You just have to connect your new data sheet. So it's not as horrible as it seems right now. And we're going to do that. And then we're going to go back, zip code. And if you have country that you need, you can add the country if you need it. We don't have country on ours, so I'm not gonna worry about that. We're just gonna get rid of the placeholders. Down here, dear, I'm gonna insert my salutation. And here's where I'm gonna insert my gift amount. If you have if you use fund or if you use any of the other pieces, gift date, if you say your gift of on this date, you have it there. You just have to click it and add it in. If you think everything's good and you're ready to go, you can say finish and merge. And then I like to do it, edit individual documents, because now you get to look at them and make sure, did this come out the way I wanted it to? Did everything, align properly? See, for some reason that didn't, go properly. That is probably to do with whatever I did when I was copying and pasting it. There's the first one. See, small brick had no data, so we don't have anything to add there. So here's all your, and if you have a header or a footer, like letterhead, you can put those into your merge before you do the merge. So it'll all show there. So we've got all our letters. So that is the basics of how to do a mail merge. Like I said, it's pretty quick and easy. I do suggest that when you're done and you've checked it all and you're all, comfortable with it, you save the file as, with a naming convention. So something like, general thank you, 05/19/2022, with a combination, whether you use a combination of the batch number, the date, a combination of both, the type of letter, etc. Just something that makes sense, because if you ever have to go back, it's a good idea to have it really well named. So if you're going through a folder full of acknowledgement letters, you know where to look and how. So whether it's by batch, by date, whatever, I recommend that. Any questions on this part? So when you get
there was one question. Sorry.
okay.
Why is the date not in line? I think that was probably more with the formatting, right? Is that
that is
why that's
a
indented?
formatting? Yes, that is a formatting, definitely. And
that's a side effect of trying to multitask and explain it and do it at the same time. So.
Right. So yes, that's definitely a formatting issue. And there you can use bolding. You have all the same tools that you would have in Word. You have all those tools to, if you want to do all different kinds of things. When you get the slide deck, the last slide in the mail merge area does say if you want to do conditional merging based on letter code, to shoot me an email and I can send you a formula to use. And it does give my email address there. So, don't panic if you have conditional formatting or conditional letters. You can still do it in one shot. Some people find it easier to break them up and do them, by letter code, that, they have a different query for the letters that need to be generated by letter code. They find it easier, but it depends on you. If you're, not intimidated by formulas and so forth, then by all means, have fun. If there's no other questions, we're going to totally jump to NXT. And I'm going to just close out of this and close out of that. And all these other Word documents that I don't need. And we're going to start with the email functionality. This, if you have it, it's great. And it's very simple. If you've used Online Express or OLX, I always use OLX instead of Online Express. If you are used to using Online Express, this will be very, very familiar to you. So if you click on the Marketing tab, select your email, create an email. It's going to bring it. We'll do it from a template. And they do provide you all different kinds of templates, and there's more if you choose. So there's lots of different choices. So I'm just going to select this one. And it opens the design kit. So your logo is going to go here. That most likely is an image. If you have your image library built, great. If you don't, you might think about wanting to build one. This is just like OLX. You can add buttons. You've got text only. You've got divider lines. You've got image only, image left, image right, top. You got social media things. So you've got all the things you need to create a good email message. And literally, so this only has these. If I want to edit this, I can click here, I can edit, and I can add. There, I can add whichever ones I want. You can move it up, you can move it down, you can change the image, you can do however you want, or you can define it later, that's fine. It's all built from, here's, if I do this again, we'll do it. And I'm gonna, there's Twitter. So this, this is literally how easy. Here's Facebook, add, Instagram, add, YouTube. So that is literally how easy it is to add. Obviously you're gonna put your information here to make it go to your site, but that is how easy it is to add. Same thing with images, text only. You just drag and drop into your text. Say apply, and there's your text. Columns, if you want to change out columns, if you want it to be 1 column, 2 columns, narrow, 3 columns, if you want to change your column style, you can do that here. So if you've chosen like a single column, like what I have here, and in the middle you decide, oh, you know what, I really want to change it to something else, this is where you do it. Style is all about the font, the size, what are you looking at? What does the canvas look like? What does the body look like? So changing colors, you have your color spectrums you can use. So choose what you want and apply it. For whatever you choose, it'll give you the hex reading for it and you can apply it. If you want to use an inherited font, you can do that. Background color, font. I mean, you have all the tools you need to make any adjustments to this that you want.
Aaron, there was a question. Can different templates be created that have different footers? For example, templates for different schools with different contact info?
Oh, absolutely. You can have all the templates you choose. You can create your templates and save them to be used over and over. So you could have a separate template for each of your schools easily.
Perfect, thanks.
If you're done and you're all happy with your message and your email, I know this is just an example, but you could save and close it. You could preview it. So this is what it would look like. Obviously, we wouldn't send something like this looking like this out, but I mean, that's how it looks. That's what they're going to see. If I say next, it's going to say finalize your email. Are we doing this as a one-time email? Are we using this in a workflow? I don't know how many of you have workflows, but you can create a workflow for, say, a welcome series and set up a list that pulls first-time donors and assign this workflow to them. And the system will automatically regenerate every day and send the emails. And if you do a workflow for the welcome series, whether it's 3 messages or 5 messages, and you have a different message for each one, it will work through and send them all. So you have that option of using it for a workflow or just as a one-time email. Your internal email, who you want it to say it's from, and the email address it's from. If there's a reply to name, what is that and that address? So if somebody replies to your message, what are they seeing? This is what they're going to see, and this is where it's going to go. Your subject line, and you just simply follow this. You can do a test, send a test, make sure it's coming through right, everything looks good, no problems. I always recommend doing at least one test, at least, make sure. And send it to like 3 different people. Have somebody do it, have whoever your 3 people are, one person always opens it on their phone. One person always opens it, say, in Chrome. One person always opens it in, say, Safari or Edge or something like that, because you want to make sure that it's opening correctly no matter what platform somebody is using. Your recipient list. So, you've got all kinds of lists. And you always want to use whoever's marked the primary email. And do you want to send it right now, or you want to schedule it for a later date? So you can schedule it out and say, hey, I'm not working this weekend, but I actually want this to go out this weekend, and I want it to go out at, say, 8 a.m. Done. You schedule it. It will run it through. It won't do it because I don't have a list, but it will actually schedule it and send it out for you, Saturday morning at 8. So any questions so far on this process?
There was a question that came in. Curious if you recommend using email for thank you letters, if email address is known, and then print letters for everyone else, or it's best practice.
Me personally, I love using email thank yous. Most donors, are online and appreciate, e-stuff rather than, paper in the mail, especially, younger groups. Half of them don't even, I've got kids, they don't look at their mail. It goes straight in the trash. They rarely, will look at things unless they're expecting a check. So, it's good practice to do thank yous via email. Absolutely.
Got it. Another question that came in is, if you don't mark emails as primary because we connect to Illuminate Online, we use email one, the type, as the one we want to send to. Is there a way to do this and use NXT emails?
So if you have it, here are the different types I have in our system. So if you have an email one, you would just select that one. I don't know, you would not be able to create it in a message in NXT and send it out through Luminate though. Am I understanding the question correctly?
How I'm interpreting this is there a way to do this and use NXT email? So they're looking potentially to bypass the fact that they're
Okay.
connected to LO and use NXT instead?
Yes. So yes. So the biggest thing would be for the thank yous, we'd have to figure out the mail merge. I've not actually used this for thank yous. So if you shoot me or Mark an email, or Mark, can we take the information over the chat? I don't know which way you want to do it. I will double check that and confirm.
Yep, we can follow up with you, Jessica.
All right, I'm making a note for myself as well. All right, any other questions on this part?
Does the email then show up as an action on the RE profile of the people who received it?
It does. And it will also show if they opened it. So you'll
Perfect.
also get that. Yes. That is one of the huge benefits of using the system to send information.
Got it. Is the recipient list saved on LO, or can you upload a CSV file?
The recipient list is a list from NXT. So
yeah,
it's
LO we'd have to look at. Illuminate Online we have to look at separately. But
yeah, Illuminate Online is a completely separate animal. So, you know,
depends on how it's configured.
Yep.
Good stuff. All right, well, that's the question so far.
Okay. So now we're going to jump an entirely different direction. And we're going to go back, and I'm actually just going to cancel out of that. We're going to jump over to the database view. So this is, I have mine open automatically to records. You may, when you open database view, open to the home page. It's personal preference. For those of you who have never used Importacular or don't know what it is a plugin found in the database view under plugins. So if you go all the way down here to the almost to the bottom, there's like this little outlet and it's plugins. There are all kinds of nifty little tools down here. There are many, many different ones. Some of them are free and some of them are not. So, you know, and it'll tell you if you try to open one that isn't, it will let you know. Some of them require activation, you know, things like that. But, you know, it's fairly easy. The one we're going to look at today is called Importacular. And this is for importing data. So if you have like Constant Contact, or you have Excel or CSV sheets that are the same over and over and over. Like if you're a college or university, you get new students in, or you get alumni every semester, that type of thing. That's where this all comes into play. So we're going to do ours. Here are the things that it can interact with. So just so you have an idea, there are a lot of different things that it interacts with and can do well with. I'm picking CSVs, picking our own file. Come on. So it's going to ask you, what file do you want to try and import? Let's see. Importacular example, yay. And now I'm going to retrieve my data. So you have to have a file connected to it before it will open up this screen. This is where you get your templates. So if you've created multiple templates, when you click the down arrow, you'll see all your templates aligned. If you want to create a new template, you would just click this plus and it would open it up and you could create a brand new template. I'm going to open the one I've created already, but I'm not going to go through and use it yet. We're going to click on the pencil to say, let's edit this. Kind of gives you an idea of how this works. So when you open it up, you've got constituents. So you want to add constituent mapping, which is, for me, my bio 1. And what I'm looking for with this group, I have a date of birth, first name, gender. And if you see this green, this means there are settings here. So these settings, I can say for the new constituent records or to update existing records. This is what I want you to do. And in this case, all I want it to do is proper case, because I don't want to, I don't know how many of you do this, but you've got all these people who either shout all their information or they're whispering all their information. So it's all in all caps or all lowercase. This will put it in proper case. So good thing to have. And basically all I'm doing is taking from my spreadsheet, these are the different headers columns I have in my spreadsheet. Since I have gender in my spreadsheet, it matched to gender. If you have a spreadsheet in any of these default values, you can use a default value. If you have all the same information, the other thing you can do is you can type in a default value if you chose. So it depends on what you're trying to enter and how you need it. But basically anything with a green check in front is required. You have to have it mapped to something. So in my spreadsheet, let's go back to my spreadsheet just so we can take a look at what that looks like so you know what I'm kind of working from. In my spreadsheet, I don't have like organizations and stuff, all built out. So I've got org names, first name, last name, title, suffix, gender on some people, date of birth on some people, address, city, state. Okay, so those are all my headers. Great. But I don't have a key indicator, which is required when you're bringing a new record into Raisers Edge. A key indicator just is an I for individuals or an O for organizations. It is mandatory. You can see in my stuff here, like Martha Jones, she whispered everything. Everything's quiet. John Smith, he wanted you to know his last name. So this is what the data is looking like. It's not clean. It's, we've got all caps here. We've got all lowercase. We've got, oops, it's going to try and send an email to somebody that we don't really need to. Yes, cancel that. So, pay attention, because you don't have to clean up your data in your spreadsheet by using Importacular. That's the beauty of it. So we're back here. Since I don't have a key indicator, it is a required field. What I'm saying is look at the org name. And then I'm coming over here to settings, and I'm saying on new records coming in, I don't care about casing for the I or the O. Here are our choices. You have they're either individuals or they're organizations. And I'm saying I want them all to be organizations, but don't assign, when the org is blank. So if org name is blank, it's going to say, this doesn't match. It's going to default to the individual. And we're going to go through and do that with the entire thing. So we've got, so that's basically our Bio 1 information, and we're going to save that. And that takes us back here. So you have constituent attributes, you've got constituent codes. Not all of this is going to be free. The free stuff is the basics, the constituent, the attribute, the constituent code, addresses, and gifts. Those are the free tools. It's enough to get you your people in, and gifts if you have them in. So if you're using, OneCause or something like that, or CyberSource, or Benevity, and you get those documents every month, you set up a template for Benevity, you set up a template for CyberSource, and then every month you use the same template, just attach your new document and in you go. So the other option you have is maybe something's coming in differently. How do you want it to match those? I mean, if you're bringing stuff in from online, most likely you're not going to have a constituent ID to compare to. So I moved that to the very bottom. I like to go first name, last name. Oh, is your screen jumping?
Nope. Okay on this end.
Oh, my screen is like
you're having some
jumping.
Technical issues over there.
I am. It's a day. So this is just to decide how you want your criteria to be looked at by the system for matching purposes. So when you start importing, what is the system going to look at to match your stuff? If you are bringing in from online giving or something, maybe you only you move email up to number 1 and don't worry about the rest of it. You're just going to try and match on the email portion. So, and you can save that. We've got constituent codes. I didn't do any attribute mapping because I didn't have any. So, but I did map to constituent codes. And again, I'm going by org name. If the org name matches, if there's an org name, then I want it to be corporate business. If it doesn't, then I want them to be a donor. I'm going to save that. And we're going to close that. We don't need that anymore. So that's the constituents. Any questions on that one? Okay, addresses, same thing. I know we're getting tight on time, so I want to get through. You map it. I'm using the address line, city. I mean, I'm doing the case sense, case proper, and you just map everything. Once you've got everything mapped, you're good. You save and close your templates. It's going to ask you for a control report. You have to do a control report. I'm going to map to that one. Yes. I recommend, if you're doing this for real, that you do create the Raisers Edge queries, because it'll help you down the road. You also have the opportunity that if you're doing this for the first time, you're testing a template, only process the first couple of records. It's really important to make sure everything's going where you expect it to and that it's all being processed in the right way. When you hit continue, it's going to go through and match. And this is what it's going to bring up. So it's going to say create. That means it doesn't find an ABC company, so it's going to create a new record. Decide means there's maybe a Tom Smith. So if I click on Tom Smith, okay, there's a Debbie Smith. So it's saying by last name, this might be a match. It's not. So you have to go in here and you have to decide. You cannot leave any decides. Everything has to be either create, ignore, or update for it to run. Oh, lots of Martins. I do not see Kathy Martin, so I'm still thinking this is a create. But those are your options: create, ignore, or update. If there are any decides left, it will not let you proceed. You can validate. You can go through and validate. If you are doing gifts, you can add gifts to a batch. So if you have you can create a batch for the gifts. We're just entering constituents. We're not doing any. We do have gifts, but we're not going to worry about those right now because we don't have the time. And you just click import now, and it's going to say, are you sure? Yes. And it's going to start going through. If you get these, it says, we have 6 exceptions. It will give you a report on why they accepted out, and you work through them. And once you get all green check marks, you're good to go, and it will update and import all your records. Any questions?
Nothing yet.
Okay, I know I went through that kind of quick, but we're running out of time here. All right, so we're going to close out, and we're actually going to close out of that as well. Oh, come on. It's not letting me get up to my corners. All right. Next group is pledges, gifts, and recurring gifts. First off, let's talk about what is a pledge. A pledge is a set amount with a start and an end date. I promise to give you $10,000 over the next 5 years. That is a pledge. It's got a start date, it's got an end date, and it's got a set amount. A recurring gift has an amount to be paid at specified intervals. So I'm going to give you $5 a month indefinitely. It does not have an end date. That is a recurring gift. Okay. You cannot enter pledges or stock property gifts in the web view. You cannot apply pledge payments in the web view. And you cannot convert a pledge to a recurring gift in the web view. Also, you should be aware that any gift that you enter via the web view cannot be deleted. So if you're used to working in database view and entering gifts, and if there's a mistake made, no big deal. We can, delete it, re-enter it, no problem. In WebView, you cannot, so you have to re-enter the gift correctly, and then you can't just adjust the gift. If you can't adjust the gift in WebView, because there are certain things you can adjust, but if it's all wrong, you have to adjust the gift to 0 and it stays. So you need to remember this when you're pulling reports for, like, if you have to pull a report of the number of gifts you received last fiscal year or during a specific time period, make sure you're pulling gifts that are greater than 0, gift amount greater than 0, because otherwise you're going to get a weird number, and your average gift numbers and all that will not be accurate because it will have those adjusted gifts that are 0 amounts. There are multiple ways to enter gifts, pledges, and recurring gifts. You can enter them manually on a gift record. I'm sure most of you know how to do that. You got a record, we got Jack Test. You go to gifts, new gift, and you follow the procedure. If it works, great. Other feature is we are going to enter gifts through batch. Batch is great. They have batches in both, web view. Here's batch in database view. And we've got and here's batches in web view. If the gifts, pledges, or recurring gifts come through Online Express, you will process them through Online Express. And if you're processing from Online Express, you can process them directly into a batch. So that makes it really good. And there's more detail in the slides for you on this. Note if you select pledge as a gift type, it will automatically open the pledge scheduler when you hit the end of the line in a batch. And in recurring gifts, you have to click on the line and click on gift and, payment, add payment to pledge or recurring gift, click on the payment amount and auto distribute and all that good stuff. I'm going really quick because we've got 5 minutes and I want to give you guys time. If you have any questions on this, I would suggest if you are using batches, whether it's in the database view or in web view, create your templates. Create a cash check template. Create a recurring gifts template. Create an OLX template. Create, a payroll deduction template, whatever you're using. Create it, use it. It will save you time and help minimize the mistakes. Towards the end of the slide deck, you will see a section that says database view versus web view terminology. There's 2 slides because one of the biggest gripes people have is, not having something consistent. In web view, it could say their preferred name, but in database view, that's their nickname. A solicitor in database view is a fundraiser in web view, etc. Last thing I'm going to tell you is database view only. You can only do global adds, global changes, global deletes, global write-off of pledges in database view. You can only do an import in database view. You can only convert pledges to recurring gifts in database view. You can only apply pledge payments in database view. You can setting up security for record field level, view, add, edit, delete can only be done in database view. And you can only manage and build tables, custom fields, attributes, addressee salutation formulas in database view. Okay, questions?
Well done. I think all the questions that have been there have come up. I think we've gone through. There was some great sharing, chatting back and forth regarding folks using different things, like Importacular by Nomadic folks, and some shout outs to them for that. So there's definitely some different options when it comes to how you import your data.
Absolutely.
But
I
I
have
think it's good to
nothing
show
against
the free
Omatic
ones.
because Omatic is a great tool if you have the budget to use it. It's awesome. I've used Omatic for since they started. I was a beta tester and absolutely love the product. Use it all the time. But if you don't have the budget, this is a great alternative.
Yeah, I think it's good to know the options and know what comes, available for free, and then the upgrades from there. As you pointed out, the different kind of objects and other elements that you can bring in for the upgraded version of Importacular or using a third party like Omatic. So definitely covered a lot. I've dropped in the link to the deck. We'll be sharing the recording after the fact as well. But want to thank everybody for joining today, and want to thank Erin, of course, for giving her time and experience to show some of this in person and live. But definitely check out the deck as well, because it does provide a lot of details regarding a lot of the nuances of what she covered today. But thank you, everybody, for joining us today.